Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Scripting Thursday. Every Thursday, we cover topics, what to say to get what you need from your clients. And today, since it's a week before Christmas, we're going to cover what to say to sellers during and about the holidays. So let me share my screen. Come on. And pull this up and do that. Unplug this. And oh, I did that out of sequence here. All right. So in case you're new, my name's Ed Laine. I'm a managing broker out of Seattle, Washington. I'm not the managing broker for EXP, but I was a designated broker for 20 years. And I've been in the business 38 years. So I've sold a lot of houses, had a lot of opportunities to work on scripts and mess them up. So I'm just going to be talking. I don't really have a slide deck for this one because it's more conversational. But I want to describe the concept first, and then we'll talk about some of the specific scripts. So if anybody has a question along the way, please chime in. I'll be happy to answer that. But here's kind of the thinking. Like in real estate, we all have some language that we use throughout the year to describe whether it's a good or a bad time of the year to sell a home or buy a home, right? And for the most part, the holidays are not an ideal time. And the reason is if you're buying in December, you are assuming that the sellers who are listed and selling in December are desperate. Maybe have a tax reason they need to sell before the end of the year or whatever, because a lot of people will take their homes off the market during December because they don't want to be interrupted with showings during the holidays if they're living there. Or number two, because they know the offers that may come in are going to be lowball offers. Like I just got one last night on one of my listings. So that's why a lot of sellers will go off the market in December and really November, Thanksgiving. So the dialogue that I want to talk about today is what to say to sellers who come to you in September, October, even November and ask, is now a good time? Okay. So there is a window. I'll preface all this by addressing September 1st. There is a window in September where historically we actually see an increase in sales. And it's the 2 weeks that follow Labor Day. So you guys all know that, a lot of buyers are pushing to try and get into their home before the school year starts, right? And then the first week of the school year is Labor Day. But then there's a bump in transaction volume the 2 weeks following. So dependent on when the seller is asking you this question in and around September and how close to being ready for photos and going on the market their home is, you can use that historical bump in transaction volume as an incentive to hurry up and get it on the market, right? And if it doesn't sell in the first 2 weeks, it'll still sell probably during October. So that's what I say to folks in September or late August. Hey, you know what? We actually have this phenomenon every year. It's a historical bump in volume the 2 weeks that follow Labor Day. So let's hurry up and get it on, right? Something like that, depending on whether you're talking August 28th or August 21st or August 15th or September 1st. Now, the holidays specifically, and this is what I really wanted to dig into today, is it's a little tricky and it's not difficult, but you have to tread lightly or be careful. Because when a seller asks you in November, let's say, is now a good time to sell? If they need to sell, you don't want to be discouraging because guess what? If you say, no, it's not, they're going to go find someone like me who says, sure, it is. Right? Because they have to sell. So here's the tricky part, or the nuanced part. The script sounds like this. Is now a good time to sell? And I say, well, do you have a financial reason to sell this year? Is there a financial reason to sell this year? It's really simple, right? But the reason it's such a powerful dialogue is that it's not an indicator one way or the other of whether it's a good idea or a bad idea to sell this year. And I want to hear from the seller prospect, do you need to sell or not, right? And the way I phrase it, as simple as that is, the beauty of it is it gives them the ability to answer without embarrassing themselves. Because nobody wants to look you in the eye and say, I have to sell. I'm not going to be able to make my January mortgage payment or whatever, right? They don't want to tell you that. They just want to say, I for tax reasons, I definitely want to try and close before the end of the year, right? It gives them that out. And here's why it's important. So when I ask that question, they're either going to say, yes, we need to close or sell by the end of the year. I say, great. Did you know that December is actually my third highest transaction volume month of the year? I sell more homes in December every year than I do in 8 of the other months of the year. And that gives them comfort, right? Now they know they've got a specialist that they're talking to who isn't intimidated by the holidays, who doesn't change his behavior or his marketing during the holidays. He gets after it, right? So that's what I say to the person who is hoping to sell in December. Hey, that's great. Because you know what? December is my third highest transaction volume month of the year. Let's go. Right? Now, if they say, well, no, we don't have to. We could wait. Would it be smart to wait? That's when I will start to say why it's a good idea to wait. Does that make sense? I don't want to start talking about why it's a good idea to wait until I know that they aren't desperate to sell now. So that question, is there a financial reason to sell this year, gives them the out to say yes. They don't even have to say why. They can just say, yeah, great. December is one of my top transaction volume months of the year. It's my third highest, right? Now, if they say, no, it doesn't matter. Well, I do believe you'll sell your house for more money if you wait through the holidays because of what I started with, right? Sellers who sell in December usually are selling because they have to. Buyers who buy in December know it. And so they lowball you. The offer I got last night, the list price on that house is $715,000. The offer is $650,000. We've only been on the market for 2 weeks, but they asked for a $65,000, 10% discount because it's December, right? So that's normal. And my seller's going to counter. So now let's talk more about the waiting part of it. Why is it a good idea to wait? Well, because of what we just said about December being, fraught with aggressive buyers, but also, this is another script you can use, is I target the third Thursday in January every year. Now, as a side note, this year, the third Thursday, I think, is the 15th or 16th. That's too early because January 1st is a Wednesday. So that's too early. So I would actually do the fourth Thursday of January. Now, why Thursday? Well, if you've been on this call before, you've heard me give my listing presentation. And in my listing presentation, I literally say, our system works best if launched on a Thursday. So we target Thursday for very specific reasons. I won't dig into those today, but we can talk about it at the end if you guys want. So when I'm looking at the calendar, I'm only looking Thursday, right? And so the third Thursday of January allows me to use this dialogue. Hey, you know what? We bring properties on the market on the third Thursday in January every year. Although this year we're going to do it the fourth because it's third, I think. That was weird. And here's the reason we do that. When you list your home in late January, your home is going to be on the leading edge of that wave of inventory that's coming to hit the market in February and March. And you will have less competition. And here's what happens to buyers in January. They wake up January 1st, hungover after a good time, right? And they have, and I'll pick up my phone and I'll go, they have the MLS in their pocket, right? And they're sitting there on their couch and they're scrolling through Zillow or Redfin or whatever. And they go, you know what? This is going to be the year. Honey, we're going to buy a house, right? And they start looking then. I often will say, you know, spring comes earlier to buyers than it does to sellers because buyers will start looking in January. So when you come on the market on the third Thursday, you have less competition and you're going to pick off one of those buyers, right? And you're going to go into escrow with one of those buyers. If you wait until March or April when everyone thinks is the high season, you have a hell of a lot more competition as a seller. Buyers have more options. There is more inventory. So you're on the leading edge of that inventory coming into the market, right? I'll give you a great example from last year. I had a client who reached out to me and said, I want to list after September 30th. And in the same breath, she said, and you don't need to lecture me. I know that's stupid, but that's what we need to do. And I said, okay, I wasn't going to lecture you. Why is that what you need to do though? She said, we have 2 daughters and they're both getting married in September and I just can't deal with trying to sell a house at the same time. I go, oh God, no. Yeah, I'm with you. That's a lot. Like I wouldn't add selling a house to that list either. So I said, is there a financial reason why you want to try and sell this year? And they said, no, we can sell whenever. We just don't want to start working on it till after September 30th. And I said, okay, because it could make a lot of sense for us to list it in January on the third Thursday in January. And they said, really? I said, yeah, when can we get together? So I booked an appointment, met with them, got a tour of the house, got to see the condition of the house. As it worked out, the house needed some repairs and not so much repairs, but cleanup and updating. It was a 20-year-old house. It had 20-year-old carpets and paint. The fixtures were dated, stuff like that. And we have a moving concierge program, right? So we can remodel a house completely with our money and the seller keeps the profit. In this case, we didn't need to do a complete remodel, but we did do about $80,000 worth of work. And I just told them, because they were moving to Arizona, I said, well, once you hire me and we decide what updates to do, you guys can go to Arizona and I'll be your project manager. And our moving concierge program assigns a project manager anyway, but it was comforting to them to know that I was going to keep tabs on the project, right? So we did exactly that. They hired me in October. We did the $80,000 worth of work over November and December. We didn't have to hurry because that much work only took a few weeks, but we made it so we finished it in the first half of January, and we went live on January 18th. That house, this is an advertisement for moving concierge programs. If you don't have one, reach out to me. I'll help you. But that house as is would have been listed for 1.7. Because we did the 80 grand worth of work, we were able to list it for 1.8. We got 400 people through the 2 open houses on January 18th, that Saturday and Sunday. And then got 11 offers and sold for 1.95 million. So waiting helped us improve the property, made it more attractive to buyers. It also put us in the sweet spot for interest rates. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but if you go back to January of this year, interest rates fell 200 basis points. And the market got a huge spike. We benefited from that. We rode that wave. So my clients got, because of that $80,000, improvement, they got $295,000 additional. Take the 80 grand out of it, they still made over 215,000 more money because of my service. And the seller, I did most of the talking was with the wife. The husband was very stoic, but he called me after, a week after closing, and he goes, "Man, you nailed it." And I said, "Oh, thanks for noticing. This is what I do." So, the timing can benefit your client if you manage it properly. If you have a moving concierge program, you can use that during the time that you're waiting to go on the market. But again, the real moral of the story is don't indicate whether it's smart or not smart until you know what their circumstance is, because you'll lose the business if you lead with your opinion. So let me stop sharing and we'll open this up to questions. Where's the little clicker thing? There it is. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
All right. And I didn't see the stop sharing button. So were you even able to see my screen, or was it just my face the whole time?
You saw your screen.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Christine, do you have any firsthand experience with having that conversation in like October, and how did you navigate it?
Well, not recently, but I have sold homes during both Thanksgiving, Christmas, and there's a lot less competition, right?
Yeah.
The home is set up beautifully. Nothing nice, especially here in New York. I live here in New York, and it's usually around that time. It's snowing, it's freezing, and people come in. I tell them, make sure you have the lights on nice and a little bit dim in some areas. If you have a fireplace, have it rolling.
Yeah.
Put that Christmas tree on, or whatever, whatever ornaments, decorations you have, light them up. And and people love that, coming in from the cold, and they feel nice and warm and cuddly. And I asked them, can you see yourself living here next year during whatever you celebrate, whether Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever it may be? And can you see your furniture there and cuddling by that fireplace? And, it opens up a conversation. And I have sold in that, around those, in that time frame. Yeah. Did get the money they were looking for, like I said, because it's, if somebody really wants the house and you're off by, 20, 30,000, it's really not a big deal, or even 50 on a mortgage, right? It's not that big of a difference. At least that time it wasn't. So
totally, especially if you focus on the payment amount, that extra 30 grand might only be $400 a month or less.
Right.
Yeah.
And later on, if it gets better, you can always refinance it. So how much do you really want the house?
Yeah. Yeah. Or get a 2-1 buy down, so it's cheaper temporarily while you wait for rates to go down. I mean, there's a lot of different tactics you can employ. And I think the key in my mind is determining if their motivation is to hurry up and sell, or would they rather wait through the holidays and put it on after. And I've got a case to be made in either scenario to make them feel like they're not making a mistake either way, right?
Right. And if buyers are going to come out in weather in freezing weather like that, they're very serious. They're not just they're not just shopping window shopping, right?
You're not window shopping in a window that's frozen solid. Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey Ed, I had a personal story to
Yeah.
your strategy I just sort of realized this is looking back when I bought my house in Bellingham in January of 2022. When we first saw it, it was the 20th, which is the third Thursday. And it had just come on the market. We happened to be going up to Mount Baker for a ski trip from Seattle. And so we saw it before anybody else. And there was an open house that weekend. We even cut our ski trip short to try to get back to just to see it a second time. And of course, I mean, granted, there was a peak of the market then, but we had to pay $200,000 over asking to beat 6 other people out on offers to get the house. It was a frenzy. So that obviously worked in that case really well. They must have. I'm surprised they weren't your clients because they were maybe they were coached by somebody who.
The meeting is yeah.
But
well, should we talk about Thursday a little bit? Does everyone understand why I say it's best to launch on a Thursday? And this includes price reductions too. I do those on Thursdays as well. Would you like me to just explain why real briefly?
Sure.
Okay, so I explain like this. Well, Steve, you're on my screen right now, so I'm going to pretend you're my seller. But I say, my system works best if launched on a Thursday. And the reason is buyers, brokers schedule their showings for the weekend on Thursday and Friday, right? A lot of them do it on Friday, but if they're looking in a price range where there might be tenant occupied, then they have to give 24 hours notice. So those agents start looking on Thursday. And so what we do is we take our listings live Thursday afternoon so that when they start looking in our system, they have what's called hot sheets, right? And every MLS around the country has some version of this. It's all the new listings, newly price reduced listings, et cetera, and they float to the top. And so I just tell them that's why we do it, so that your house is at the top when they're scheduling their showings for the weekend. And they go, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? And it honestly, if it weren't for that, could I do it a different day of the week? And the answer is sure. But I would always do the same day of the week because you sound much more credible to your client when you have a deliberate and purposeful approach to your business, right? If you say, yeah, let's bring it on the market on Thursday, and then it's Tuesday and they're like, oh, we didn't finish the painting, so we can't get the photographer in, we can't stay, blah, blah. How about Friday? How about Saturday? No. If you miss this Thursday, then it's next Thursday, right? So their perception of the way I speak is, okay, he's got legit reasons for this, and we better hurry because we don't want to wait an extra week, right? So you can use it as pressure. And I'll even tell them, hey, I'm not trying to stress you guys out. I just want you to know that a week sooner is better than a week later during this time of year, and that's true, really 9 months out of the year. Like throughout the year, a week sooner is better than a week later is a sentence that I can use for different reasons, right? It could be before school lets out. It could be before school goes back in. It could be before 4th of July, if you're creeping up on Memorial Day weekend, whatever, right? A week sooner is better than a week later. And then that's the calendar putting pressure on my client to hurry up and finish the list of things that we agreed to that needed to be done. So my opinion and my advice to all of you would be to use Thursday, but whether you use Thursday or not, just use the same day of the week because it gives you added benefits of, leveraging time and driving that perception of, oh yeah, he's got a reason for this. I'm going to just listen to what he says. What the other thing we like to do on these Thursday scripting days is just open it up to, do you guys have a particular script that you were hoping to hear, or do you have a scenario where you'd love to know what I would say in that scenario? We can use the last 5 minutes here to kick that around, or we can wrap up early and you can go back and start wrapping your presents for next week.
Haven't even started.
Yeah, I know. Amelia, Autumn and I were chatting before this kicked off about, we only have 5 minutes left. We better hurry up and go shopping.
Yeah, I was going to say, wrapping presents, I still have to shop.
Right. But and what we landed on is gift cards, because A, they're easier to wrap, and B, they can be sent electronically. So now you don't even have to wrap them. So everyone's good. We can call this one a wrap if you want. I know we're not having Agent Power Huddle next week. I'm not sure about the week following. I'm kind of assuming not. So we probably will have our next scripting Thursday on January 2nd, I would guess. But I'll confirm that and we'll send an email out. And other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful holiday with your family and friends. And I will look forward to seeing you guys in the new year.
And you too, Steve. And Gan, Autumn and Tech.
Yes, Autumn and Tech. Take care, everyone. Later, everyone.
Happy holidays.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.